Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Charting on the Nadex Platform and Technical Analysis little overview webinar. Excuse me. My name is Adam McCaden, and yeah, let's kick it off here on this nice Thursday midday sort of lunch hour. We have our disclaimer here. Everyone that comes to some of these webinars should know this disclaimer before we get into it. I will give you a little bit of time to read this. Very basically, it says trading on Nadex involves risk, just like trading anywhere. Shouldn't be trading any money that you can't afford to lose if it goes against you. Also, I will be placing some trades on the platform to show some charts or show some charting functionality on this webinar. Nothing I'm placing is a recommendation to make any sort of trade. It is all just picking random things just to show you the technical indicators, the charts, etc. We'll give you one more second to read the rest of this. All right, I think that's enough time to read this disclaimer here. We have this nice about me sort of thing. Working at Nadex since 2017, so about 4 years now. I do these platform webinars and these charting webinars because I was focusing on building this new platform along with a large team of people here. So I like to do these webinars, explain a little bit about what we were thinking about, and show off all the functionality on the platform and the charts on our own site. And I've been trading for quite a while now, about 12 years or so, ever since I was 18. So making me feel a little bit old at this point. All right, so today we're going to go over just, this is the agenda before we actually jump into the platform itself, which I'm sure is the most exciting part that everyone wants to see. We're going to go over the chart features, just go through the entirety of everything you can actually do on the charts. And then at the end, we'll go over both EMA and RSI, two indicators that are a little bit more popular. So this will be primarily on how to use our charts themselves. But again, there will be a little bit on the actual technical indicators, EMA and RSI at the end. So without further ado, then let's get into the actual, there we go, get into the actual platform. So everyone should know you go to the login screen, you go to nadex.com, you hit log in, it'll take you to this screen here, and then you can log in with your password, and we are in the platform. So first of all, let's do a binary. Let's bring up a binary and bring up our chart. The first thing you'll see, obviously, is this large area that has these, little chart GIF that goes across the middle. This is where all your charting is going to be when you actually bring it up. So let's pull up a binary real quick. We'll do some of the call spreads and the knockouts a little bit later. Yeah, let's do a daily US Tech 100. That US markets are hot today. So right away, it's looking a little cluttered, but we'll show how to fix that here. You'll notice as I click on my selected strike and my selected buy or sell side on the left-hand side of the screen, it brings up the chart in the middle, and it also brings up the deal ticket on the right side. It also will have sort of highlighted or selected on the charts the strike itself. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of move the ticket, move the finder, and move the open positions panel away, just so we can actually see the chart a little bit better. So how you're going to do that is, and if that wasn't clear, you can click these little hide, the double arrows here on the deal ticket, on the open positions, and on the finder. And now we have a lot nicer area for our charts. I'm also going to go ahead and select a different a different time frame to actually make this chart look a little bit better. So how we're going to do that is we go up to the top left here. These are just going to be the first thing you see where you actually choose the duration of the candlesticks that you want to be looking at. So let's do, I don't know, do an hour. Just try right now to select one that doesn't have all the strikes overlaid so tight to each other. So you'll notice as I make the candles a little bit smaller, it's sort of shrinking the time frame you can see, and therefore making the strikes not as visible. So that's how you're going to select the different times for your candlestick charts. If you also want, I guess, one of the first little tips and tricks here, you can see these little grayed out sort of 1D, 4H, 3H next to the actual daily 4-hour, 3-hour time windows there. those are actually going to be your hotkeys. So you can actually use hotkeys on this charting software or on the platform, I guess, to actually change your candlestick duration. So if I type in 1, if you just start typing anywhere on your computer, it'll come up with this interval, and you can type in. So this will default to minutes. So if I do 1 minute, I have minute candlestick charts. I can also do 1H, give me an hour, 1B, I think will give you the daily. So these are, pretty useful to actually go in, not have to actually click around on every single thing that you have inside the platform. You can actually click on your keyboard, make it a little bit easier to actually use those hotkeys. It does take a little bit of time to learn, but if you're ever wondering what the actual hotkey is, they're all here in this panel of the chart. It's going to be these little grayed out. So if I type in 15, it'll take me back to my nice 15-minute candles, and we can see the chart a lot better. The other thing, very quickly, I'm going to show, because there are a couple other hotkey little tips and tricks, and one of them is actually hiding the strikes. You can hide all the selected strikes other than the one that you actually have. Obviously, we have all of our strikes currently overlaid on the chart, and you can see when you actually have a strike selected, it's going to be that solid line going across, while all of your strikes that aren't selected, it also will have the little highlighted strike price. All the strikes that aren't selected will be that dotted blue line and won't be highlighted. So you can always see and figure out which chart or which strike you actually have selected at any time. You can also hide the rest of the strikes that aren't the selected ones. So this is another little trick you can do. So if you hit S, you can actually go ahead and hide all the other strikes and just look at your own strike that you've selected. You can also select, go ahead and select these other strikes by clicking these very small little blue and red buttons. But you can again, hit S, bring this back up. And I'll show you a little bit later on how to actually find that without using the hotkey. But for right now, we'll just say hit the S button, and that will bring up that charting functionality. All right, so now our chart's a little bit cleaner here. We have our strike, what is it, 14987.8. I'm actually going to place an order just so you guys can see what happens when you place an order, how that is actually shown on the chart itself. First of all, you also notice when I actually hit the blue or the red sides of the buy and sell, it's going to sort of shade it above, shade it below. This is another nice visual indicator for, what side of the contract you are trying to place your ticket on, or your order on. So let me get into a market order very quickly here. I'm going to get into a market order. I'm also going to get into place a open position, or place a limit order off of what the market price is. So let's say there's another order there. So now I have one order that is at 30, kind of an open working order in my positions, and I have one actual open contract now in my demo account. So you can see on the right hand side of the screen, or sorry, that's left. I should try to figure out my right from my left at some point. But as you can see on the left hand side of the screen, there is an overlay that shows your current open position, right? So right now we have +1. That's our, we have one buy side position. We see the strike above 14987.8, and we can also see our profit and loss on this trade. So right now we're trading at a loss of about $2.75. When this is positive, when you are trading at a profit, this button will be blue rather than red. Moving on, we actually also have our open position here, and I can show you. So here's our, our current position that we're in. Here's our working order, and this working order is going to be showed by a grayed out box, not a blue or a red box like your open positions. So that's real quick, just how you see your open positions, how you see your working orders overlaid on the charts themselves. I'm going to move ahead and actually hide these so that we can get a better view. And you can see actually, I was saying it was blue, it's green when it's positive, because that makes way more sense than blue. So moving on here, we're going to go across kind of the top panel and also show both everything on the top panel and everything in the drop-down menu that you can actually use to move around your chart and bring everything up. So we have this date range. So if you want to see 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, you can click up here, and this is going to show you like 1 month of data now. Now it will also, you'll notice, change your candlestick, how much you're actually seeing of them, your candlestick duration. So just always be aware of that. I'm going to zoom back in just so we can get a nice, a little different. Actually, no. Let's keep it on for a month. Let's see what's going on here. And so everything that you can see, you can either do on that top panel that goes across the top of the chart itself, or you can right click on the chart itself, and you can pull up everything that you're also able to access here. So it's the same way, just kind of preference. I like to right click so I don't have to move my mouse up to the top left, back and up and back all the time. But if you like using it up here, you can also access everything from up here as well. We got a question coming in. So yes, all of these are, the question was, I believe this is being recorded, when and where will it be posted? Generally, all of our webinars are posted after they complete about an hour or two. Generally, it sort of depends on when the person that actually puts those up, posts those, gets around to doing it, but it's usually fairly quickly. And they will be posted on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, you go to Nadex, you can find it there. You should actually also be able to get there from the webinar section of our website as well. And yeah, I forgot earlier, if you do have questions, just throw them in the chat. I have them up on my second screen over here, so I'll see them, answer them as we go through. So moving on here, I'm going to keep using the right-click method just because that's what I'm more comfortable with using as we go through the rest of the charting functionality here. So right-click, the first thing you're going to see at the very top are going to be your indicators. We have quite a number of indicators. A lot of the bigger ones, we definitely don't have all of them, but we have, I think, a lot, very good smattering of them, if you will. So if I go over and let's say one of the cool things I like about our indicator selection is if I don't know what some of these do, like let's say I don't know what Ichimoku is, I can actually hover over this little information bubble, and it's going to give me a little blurb about what it is, how you would do it, how you would use it, what situations you would use it in, and you can scroll down and read all of this. So every single indicator is going to have that little information overlay. And you can, feel free to go in there. It's not going to be the most in-depth, but you can learn a little bit about it. So for right now, let's throw an indicator on. We'll throw MACD on. So you'll see as I click it, it goes to the bottom of the screen. So MACD, that's your moving average convergence divergence. That's going to be one that is on the bottom of the screen. You also have things like exponential moving average that will be overlaid on the chart itself and not on the screen below. So that is going to be how you overlay your indicators at first. You can see which ones you've selected by the little check mark next to them. You can also go in after you've put the indicators on, and you can change the actual what you're seeing in the indicators, right? So you can change the stats, I guess, of the indicators. What's a better word to say that? So for EMA, if I click here, let me show you one more time where that is. So for the ones that are overlaid on the charts themselves, you're going to look for the bottom left-hand corner of the chart and see it says this little EMA thing here, 2050. You can click on that itself, and it's going to bring up your options to change with your exponential moving average. So I'm actually going to restore to defaults here real quick. So you can change, you have your 20 period, 50 period, 100 period showing right now. If I want to do my 1226, which is actually what's used very often on your MACD, as you can see below. We'll get to that in a second. But this just allows you to select the period, the periods of the moving averages looking back over the charts. We have a question here. Instead of using candlesticks, what is the alternative name for bar charts? So I just generally call them candlesticks. There are many different types of charts that we'll get to later, but we have a bunch of different charts. So we have our candlestick chart. We have your basic line chart. You have the mountain one, which is the line one shaded. You also have Heikin-Ashi. You have your Heikin-Ashi charts as well. I'll explain those a little bit more in a little bit, and we'll get into how you actually overlay those and how you actually change what is displaying. But the default will always be the candlestick chart. You can also, going back into your options, you can also change the colors. Just if you want to change the colors, you hit apply, and now you can see, my 12-day period is a darker shade of blue. My 26 period is a sort of aquamarine blue. Moving down to MACD, so the ones that are overlaid on the bottom, these sort of charts that are beneath the actual chart itself, indicators underneath the chart itself, you're going to do very much the same thing. So this little MACD thing here, and you can change your EMA periods. So basically, MACD uses a couple exponential moving averages combined with the basically combined with them, and you're looking for a crossover of these moving averages to find trading breakouts. So you can deselect all of these, deselect your signal lines, your histogram, then you can change the colors. So this is going to be where you find all of the options to change all of that. Moving on, because we've done quite a bit on indicators, and we will come back here at the end and talk a little bit more about indicators. I just want to make sure we have time to get through all the actual charting functionality itself. So moving down, we have our drawings. So a couple of things about this drawing section. So first of all, if you go down, you can also hover over the little information bubble, and if you aren't sure what an arrow is, it will tell you that it's it can highlight specific points of interest. Hopefully everyone does know what an arrow is, but for some of these, it is a little bit more useful. So let's say an Elliott wave, I'm not sure what it is, then it tells me it uses 5 3-wave pattern. 5 3-wave pattern. I'm having trouble reading today. So, so let's throw the Elliott wave on the chart here. So once you select it, you can. I'm not actually drawing this like you generally would. But once you actually select the drawing, it'll just bring up an option to start drawing it on the chart itself. So I can put my arrows. Well, I'm not pointing to anything. None of these drawings are very realistic. You can also drag them after you've put them on, though. So I can drag this down here, and it will drag with what I'm doing. It's good. You can drag these as well. Going back to drawings, there's a couple more things in this section. So you see this show drawing toolbar. I actually, when I'm doing a lot of drawings on my charts, when I'm doing a lot of channels and that sort of thing, you can actually put that up, and I quite like that. So you'll notice when I hit that, it gives me this toolbar here in the bottom left of the chart. Now, instead of actually right-clicking and having to go select it from this menu, I can just select these from here. So if I want to put a channel on, I can do it like that, right? Instead of actually going back into that charting drop-down menu. Now you will notice you have to kind of deselect and reselect these, because I can just keep putting channels on all day. So you do have to sort of and reselect those. And the last thing I would kind of say about actually a couple more things about drawings. So first of all, you can delete all your drawings. I'm going to delete all of mine because none of them make much sense after kind of scribbling on the chart itself. So you can go down here at the very bottom of this drop-down menu and hit delete all drawings. That's going to take your drawings away, and you can always undo it if you'd like to as well. The one other thing I want to want to mention on our drawings is this this little option right there, the snap to HLOC prices. I have gotten a lot of questions in the past on what this actually does. So what this does, and I'm not sure here, I can kind of zoom in. So I'm going to turn it off. Actually, I'll leave it on and I'll try to show it. Sometimes very hard to see. But as I zoom in, let's see how I have my little arrow thing is sort of snapping to the different parts of the candlestick. I'm not sure if you guys can see that very well, but that little circle is kind of snapping to the parts of the candlestick itself, so that when I actually draw it, I'm actually my arrow goes directly there. Or same thing with a channel, it'll actually snap to these parts of the chart themselves, and so you can draw it a little bit easier. If you hit this, if you unselect this, now it's not going to snap it. So now it's not like snapping onto little parts of the candlestick. That's all that does. It does help you draw a little bit better if you're drawing a lot on the charts, and help you get a little bit more accurate where you're placing your drawings. But we do get a lot of questions about what that means. So that is what it does. And if you ever want to exit out of your toolbar, you can hit this X, it will go away, and you can bring it back up by show drawing toolbar here. All right, moving on down, we have our chart types. This is sort of an answer to the question that was asked a few minutes ago of all the different chart types we have. So the candlestick is going to be the basic chart type with your basic candlesticks, right? Showing you the high, the low, the open, and the close of each period that is on the chart itself, on each period on the candlestick. You also have, moving on down, we have our Heikin-Ashi charts. Heikin-Ashi charts, you'll notice as I click that, it sort of smooths out the candlesticks. It's not as choppy anymore, especially if I sort of zoom out here. You can see We have much smoother periods. We don't have red, green all the time. We have periods of red candles, periods of upward green candles. And that's because really what the Heikin-Ashi does is average out those candlesticks, average out this high-low open and close to give you a bit more of a smooth showing for your chart and your candlesticks. You can see kind of the momentum of the chart going up and going down with the Heikin-Ashi candles. I believe I'm not going to go fully more into exactly when and why you would use the Heikin-Ashi candles, but there are articles I believe on our site and on the internet in general. Moving on now, we have our line chart. So line fairly self-explanatory. Right now, it's actually hard to tell because we have the same color line as our EMA. Let me change this so you can actually see the line chart itself. So here we actually have our line chart. It's the blue line, while our exponential moving average is overlaid in the different colors. We have our HLOC. So HLOC charts, it's very similar to candlestick charts. It's sort of just a different way of looking at the candlesticks themselves. I rarely use HLOC. I generally either use your traditional candles or the Heikin-Ashi charts. And then we have our mountain that is going to be the last one, basically a line, but it's shaded underneath. It actually is a little bit easier, especially when you have a lot of indicators overlaid. It's a little bit easier to actually see what's going on when you have the mountain as opposed to the line chart. So I do use that one every once in a while as well. But for the rest of this, we're just going to go back to our candlestick charts. We also have our little price tab here. So this one, I will go into explanation on this. I would recommend, if you don't have a good reason to change this, that you don't change it from the default. And the default will be the last traded, as you can see selected on my screen right here. I'm going to take a drink of water very quickly. So we do have our last traded is the default. It is the default price toggle. And so I'll tell you what it is, but basically what it's saying is it's showing you the last traded price of the underlying market. If you change it to ask, if you change it to bid, it's going to show you the ask price or the bid price of the underlying market. But why it's important to remember that you've done that is because you'll see here. So we see this on the right-hand side of my chart. We see it's 15025.148, right? And it's moving up and down. But this number right here that's saying where the market currently is, that matches up with the indicative price that's shown on the platform itself, right? Because that's what the indicative price is showing, is that last traded price. Now, if I go and I change it to ask, well, you can see now this is no longer matching the indicative price. So this is a question that we've gotten quite often. People will come in and say, why is my chart not matching my indicative? This must be broken. Well, it's 9 times out of 10, actually probably 9 times out of 100, it's because the type, or sorry, the price is set to ask or bid or even mid and not to last traded. So setting it to last traded, I would highly recommend keeping it there if you don't have a good reason to change it. Now, one reason that you might change it, and we'll take a little bit of a detour from our little panel here to go show. So at the top right, you have your a little drop down menu here, right? And so if you hit this little hamburger menu, there's 2 things that drop down. There's switch to quick chart and there's tear off chart. Right now, we're going to look at the quick chart very quickly. Quick chart very quickly. So if I hit this, you'll notice it's actually changing a lot. And I'm actually going to take my MACD off so you can see this a little bit better. So I hit that button and you'll see the chart changed quite a bit. So what the quick chart is actually showing you, while the default chart is always going to show you the actual underlying market and the actual underlying price it's going through, the quick chart is going to show you the actual charting of what has happened with the price of the binary option itself, right? Or the call spread or the knockout. It'll show you what's happening on the contract and a history of that, as opposed to a history of actually what's been happening in the underlying market. So you'll see right now it's saying 80.88, 80 point, so what it's doing right now is it's actually giving you the midpoint price of between the 78.75 and the 82.25. Now, let's say you just wanted to look at all of the asks, so all of this, the buy side, you can actually change that. And now you can see, the buy side's at 82.75 right now. It was at, 80, that 80.50, however many minutes ago this was, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. So you can actually get an idea of where the option itself that you're trading is moving. So this is something that I think is quite interesting, and I think it's quite useful. I use this a fair bit when I'm trading on my demo account. But this is really one of the only times I ever changed that price toggle away from mid or last traded. I might want to do ask for the bid so I can see, where has the buy price been, where has the sell price been over the history of this contract. So again, that's going to be your quick chart. You'll notice as well up here, usually just says US Tech 100 December. Now it's actually giving you the strike because the quick charts are for a specific strike. So if you want to go find another strike, you'll have to actually go back to the other chart and pick another one and then go back to the quick chart. So, we can go back, so we can switch the default chart from the little hamburger drop-down menu, and we can click here, and then we can go back to our quick chart, and it's going to give us, this one's set pricing about 92.25, 98, and probably has been because it's way below the actual where the market's trading. So you can see it's kind of flattened out there. But then it's going to be how you see the history of what's actually happened on the option itself and not on the underlying market. So we're going to switch back to our default charts and get back into our, and so if you do that, just make sure you put it back on last traded. It's very helpful, and just to make sure that you're actually seeing the most up-to-date prices on that you would actually be trading on. So matching the indicative price. So moving on here down, we have our scale. So this one is actually something I'm actually not on the default right now. So linear is going to be the default, and you can see what it's changing is. Here, let me drop this ticket away. What it's changing is this right-hand panel of the screen, right? So the default is going to be linear, and what linear is doing is it's showing the actual price levels of the underlying market. So we see 1,500, 15,000, 15,100, etc. If I change it to percentage, this is now changing all of these numbers to percentages. And what this percentage is doing, if you kind of track this back, so we have 0% right here, you go all the way over here, it's going to start at 0% on the first candle shown on the left side of your screen. So I like to keep mine on percentage because it gives me a really good idea of how much this market has moved in the periods that I'm seeing. So since, what period is this? This is Wednesday, September 29th at 11 p.m. That's what candlestick this is. And you can see at the bottom here, that's where I'm seeing that. So since Wednesday, so since yesterday at 11, we've moved up about, a little under 1%. I think it's actually kind of covering it up, but I can, at a moment's glance, I can look at where the market has moved in that time very easily. So that's why I like using linear. I like using the percentage, but linear is going to be the default, and you can change that here. That's going to be scale, the scale section. Moving down to show. So this is where you're basically going to show all the information. Your default is going to be everything selected, right? So when you first get onto an account, when you get onto your demo or your live account, everything will be selected on your chart. And you'll see that the strikes are coming back up now. I'm going to take those back down for a second. So as we go down through these, so we have our HLOC data. So what the HLOC data is going to be this data that's moving, the last traded high, low, open, close that you can see directly next to my cursor. So maybe that's a little bit busy for you. You want to have a cleaner look. You don't want that information there. You could turn that off, so you can go show HLOC data. Now you can see that data is not there anymore, and I can bring it back, right? You can also show or hide your drawings. I like to just delete my drawings, but you can do this as well. So you can hide your drawings. Now, be warned though, if you're hiding your drawings, actually this will let you know. On our old platform, it didn't let you know that feature was selected. So we did change it up a little bit, because what people would often do is try to draw on the platform and nothing would show up. They're basically drawing with like invisible ink. You can think of it that way. So just remember that if you have, even with the drawing toolbar up, if you hide it, it's going to hide all your drawings, and then you can bring it back here as well. Indicators, again, pretty self-explanatory. Hiding indicators, showing indicators, bringing them back up. Your open positions. Now these four, you'll see again have, so I'll bring this back up. You'll see they have the little grayed out symbols next to them. And that's because these actually have high keys as well. So you have your open positions, that's P. So and when I click this, it's going to not show my open positions overlaid on the chart. So let's click that. So you can see that disappeared there on the left-hand side of the screen. My working orders, that's going to be, again, that working order overlaid on the chart. So that gray box is going to disappear as I click it back. The strikes, so this is the one that I did earlier to make this a little bit cleaner for, to make sure that everyone's seeing this a little bit clearer. So the strikes, you can hide and bring back all of your strike prices. It still obviously will show you the selected strike, but it will hide all the rest of them. And then the timeline is going to be this line down here at the bottom, and so you can hide that as well. And so as I just mentioned, all of these have their little keystrokes next to them. So if you just go on your keyboard, you can go P. Where is my? I need to make sure I'm selected on the one. Well, I want to bring this up. So okay. So if I hit P, you can see it's hiding and showing my open position. I hit O, it's hiding and showing my working order. I can hit S to toggle the strikes. And then I can hit T to toggle the timeline here at the bottom. So again, just a little bit of functionality to help use these charts a little bit quicker. And if you ever do forget about what those hotkeys are, they are here on the in the show panel and in these little grayed out numbers here. I quite like using the hotkeys. They're a little bit hard to remember at first, but once you get them down, it's way faster to like go on here and just hit the S button rather than navigating the menu and actually hitting hide all the strikes. So I use the high strike one all the time because I like looking at just my strike a lot. So a little bit of a nice tip trick there. All right, and a couple last things that you can hide or show. You have your price changes. Doing that is going to show, see this little price thing here, which shows you the overall percentage it's moved, how much the absolute that it's moved since this first candlestick. So basically, this is just showing you it's moved 2.42% since this first candlestick, and that is 354 points that it's moved. And you can also see the high, low for today and the high and low for all of the periods that are shown on the chart itself. And so you can hide that and you can remove it. And then going to the price line. The price line is just going to be this line that has the price next to it. So you can, see the actual price across the chart itself. I know I just was bringing up a different part of the menu when I did that. So you can see you can hide and show that price line. Just want to make sure I'm toggling it so everyone can see what I'm talking about. It's a line that goes across from the current price. Moving on down to layouts, we're almost through the actual menu here, which is great. So moving on down to layouts, we have, you can actually save layouts. So let's say that you always use your EMA and you always use MACD on the chart. Or let's say we use Bollinger Bands, right? So we have our Bollinger Bands. I think mine are still set up from walking. Let me reset these to defaults. Yeah, okay. So you guys can see a little bit better, and I'll hide this so you can see. So let's say I always use my EMA and I always use my Bollinger Bands. I can actually save this as a layout, so I can go layouts, save as, and we can say, Adam's cool layout, hit enter. And now if I, go to another chart, let's pull up a knockout maybe. We'll do a $1 knockout. I can go to another chart and these are deselected. I can actually just overlay my layout, right? So I can go apply, and I think it was Adam's cool layout. We'll see. And so I now applied it, and there's my EMA, and there's my Bollinger Band. So if you have a certain setup that you like to look a lot, like you use a lot, certain indicators that you like to overlay, you can absolutely set up that layout, and it's going to always bring those indicators up. So I actually do use this sometimes. And then if you go down here to apply, and then if you'd like to delete one, you can go and delete them. So if I don't want Adam's cool layout anymore, I can say bye-bye and delete Adam's cool layout. And now it's not there anymore to select it. So again, fairly useful if you do use the same indicators a lot. You can just overlay them very quickly. Almost done with our little menu here. I'll hide this again. So the second to last thing is going to be the customize appearance. This is just going to let you customize both the chart, the background of the chart, and the actual candlesticks themselves. So you have your candlestick chart. Let's say I like to make my rising bodies yellow and my falling bodies purple. Any LSU fans out there? Go Tigers! So we have our yellow and purple that looks kind of crazy right now. So you know you can change the candlesticks, and you can change these each one. You know you can change your candlestick chart, you can change your Fibonacci charts, and they will all be different. So you know if I like my mountain chart to have a red shading or a red line and a green shading, I can do that with my mountain chart, and now it looks Christmassy. Um, so yeah, this is going to be where you can do all these. You can also make the lines thicker. You can yeah. So pretty simple stuff. Also, so this grid that's over the background, it's kind of hard to see when I'm on dark mode, but if I go and now watch, because this is going to be very ugly. So now I have this green grid there. If you don't like that grid, you can always toggle that off. I know a lot of people actually don't like that grid, so that's going to be right here in Show Grid, and you know you can toggle that on and off for everything. And then the watermark. So if I hit the watermark, it's just going to bring up that. Oops. And you also have to save your changes, because what I just did was not apply them. So you have to hit apply, and so that watermark is just that big old Euro USD that's there in the background. It defaults to off, but you can go ahead and put that onto your charts. Especially, I think that's more useful if you are taking screenshots of your charts and sending them out to somebody else saying this is so they immediately know what the market is. You can also reset to default here and reset everything to default. Mine already are because I didn't save the initial changes I made. Reset to default. So again, you can do this individually for each of these candlestick types, or sorry, chart types. And then at the very bottom here, we have our export chart option. So basically what this is going to do, and it's actually, so if I hit this, it should bring up a little download thing like you see on everything you do online, and gives you a little downloadable chart. My downloads have been messing up. It's a Chrome issue, but if I actually go to my downloads, you should be able to see it. So this is the picture that it would have just taken, and so you can actually export these sort of images. And if there's a setup you really like to use, or something that you want to try something else, or maybe you're seeing something that doesn't look right, and customer service, you've contacted them, they're asking you for a screenshot of your page. Instead of just taking a screenshot, you can always export your chart and send that over to them. So it's pretty helpful in that regard as well. All right, so that is going to be everything with the actual menu. Now, there are a couple more functionality pieces that I want to go over before we get into some of the, a couple really brief explanations of technical analysis. First, we have our kind of scrolling and our fit to scroll. And so what that is so you notice as I scroll with my mouse wheel, there we go. As I scroll in and out with my mouse wheel, you'll see that the chart is contracting and expanding to fit the entire, all of the candlesticks into the chart itself, right? As I scroll up and I scroll down. Now, if I go and I actually click, so you can click and drag your charts. If I click and drag this, now if I scroll up and down, it's no longer actually contracting my charts or expanding or pushing them in to actually show me all of my chart on the same page. So to actually get that to turn back on, you want to go and click this button right here. So this button will take you, it's called latest price. It will take you to the latest price on the chart, but it will also re-engage that scrolling that you have there. So again, now if I scroll in and out, it's actually scrolling and making the chart bigger or smaller. So it's scrolling with me as I scroll backwards. And then if I do this, and now I scroll in and out, it no longer, of course, kind of makes the chart kind of stay in focus. So again, that's going to be hitting this little latest price button. It's going to bring that functionality back. The other thing that you can do on the charts, let me go back to a binary real quick to show this a little bit better. We'll do Aussie yen, why not? And let me, so I'm going to bring the strikes back up. So you can also kind of contract, excuse me, You can also contract the chart itself by dragging on this right-hand panel. So let me hide this so you can see a little bit better. So if you drag around here, you can move your chart up and down. But if you go over here, you'll see your cursor turns into a little up and down arrow. And now if you drag this, you can expand or contract your charts in that way as well. So there's another little tip on how to actually maneuver and manipulate these charts to set them up in the way that you want to see them. So that's going to be, it gives you kind of the visual when you're hovering over it. And you can do it as well. So that's going to be, I believe that's almost everything. Well, almost everything. I actually did almost forget one part. So earlier when we clicked this little hamburger menu to get to the quick chart, we also saw there's another little drop down item on here called the tear off chart. So you can actually tear off your charts. You can tear off your tickets as well. And this is how I like to what I like to use to set up my charting. I have a kind of a second screen and I'll put a lot of different charts up. So I'll just show you rather than talking through it. So when you hit that, it's going to pop out a new chart for you. And I'm going to drag this off and show you guys just very, very quickly how I like to set my charts up on my second screen. I just dragged that one. It's over here. I know you can't see my second screen, but I'll show you in 1 second. So let's say though that I always want to look at the Aussie yen, the euro dollar. Let's grab the euro dollar one so I can pop the chart off. And I'm dragging it off. I'll show you in a second. The dollar CAD. Let's pop one of these off. And I don't know. What's a fourth? We do the peso. Let's say I really like the peso as well. Okay, so now I'm actually going to minimize this. So now I want to show you. I sort of will set up my charts a lot, and I have actually a bigger second screen, so it probably looks better on that one. But I can actually go in here and kind of set up my charts so that I can see many charts at the same time and actually can trade quickly on any price movements I'm seeing when I'm trading on demo. So, this isn't perfect. You have to play with it a little bit, but I'm just trying to show you very quickly. And again, my first screen that I'm doing this on is kind of small, so that's why it looks a lot better when I do it on my big screen. But so that's kind of what you can see. So you can set up your charts. You can have all 4 of your charts going, and you can say, oh, looks like euro dollar is going for a breakout. I want to trade that. So you can look at them all at the same time. And generally, this will work out obviously a lot better if you do have a second screen. I do have one kind of over here on the side where I'm seeing all the chat questions and everything else. So then you can actually go in and trade these directly from here. So you can click this. It's going to bring up your ticket. And you can also hide the chart to just have a lot of different tickets. One other thing, this isn't really chart related, but I really like doing this. You can also bring up a bunch of price ladders. So I can have my dollar CAD, and sometimes I'll have like 10 price ladders up. And just so I can see, where these are going. So I can have my dollar CAD, I can have my peso price ladder. So I'll show you just one real quick how to get back to that. So you can hit this ticket to bring up the ticket, and then you can go to price ladder, and you can hide your chart. I know I'm doing that pretty fast. I'll do that one more time, just kind of slow it down because I know I'm speeding through that. But this is sort of how I like to do my setups when I'm looking at a lot of different charts. And I'm looking like, I can probably put like 10 of these over on my other screen and look at a bunch of different markets at the same time. So one more time, the way to get there. So you can hit this little ticket icon here. That'll bring up the ticket, or just click on the chart itself. That'll bring up the ticket as well. And then you can hide the chart or hide the ticket, obviously. So I'm going to hide the chart, and then I can go and hit this price ladder button, and that's going to bring up my price ladder. So again, it does take a little bit to actually set it up, but then you can look at a bunch of different price ladders at the same time without having to, click off the market you're looking at, go to a different market. You can just have all your price ladders up for every market that you want to trade. And again, if you want to bring the chart back up, you just want to click on this chart here, and it's going to bring up the chart again. Okay, so I believe that is really everything with the actual functionality of the charts themselves. I know we are about 45 minutes in. Show a little bit. So I did say I would go over. We sort of went over EMA. We're kind of running out of time, but I will. I'll do RSI very quickly as well. So I'll throw off Bollinger Bands, and I'll throw my EMA off here. Actually, one other thing before we do that. So the one last thing on the kind of the chart functionality is all the different products do have different kind of charts set up so you can see the products a little bit easier. So with the binaries, you obviously have these stripes on the right-hand side of the chart with the dotted or straight lines going across. The straight line obviously showing the one you have selected, and the dotted line showing the one you have not selected. If you go over to a call spread for all of our awesome call spread traders out there, let's say I'm trading a crude call spread contract, and I had to do this so I can see. Okay. So you can see here, you can actually see the floor and the ceiling of the selected contract. So again, you can see, you have your buy or you have your sell, and that's going to make the shaded area red or blue. Let me try to get this. Yeah, there you go. So it's going to make the shaded area red or blue, but you can really easily see the floor and the ceiling of your call spread contracts and give you a really quick visual representation to how far the market is currently from either the floor or the ceiling. And again, it does shade them red or blue when you have it selected so that you know if you're on the buy or on the sell side of this contract. Similarly with the knockouts, they have their own little indicator, not indicator, but they have their own kind of graphic. And so you'll see the graphic, it's similar to the call spread because obviously call spreads and knockouts both have the floor and ceiling ranges. And then look, we are just in such a tear upwards right now. Look at this. We're going through the roof. Markets are hot. So if you do want to look at on your touch brackets, if you are a touch bracket trader, you probably already know this, but you can click across these four because there's going to be four touch brackets. Sorry, knockouts. They used to be called touch brackets. I still call them that sometimes. They are called knockouts now, so a hard habit to break. But if you are a knockout trader, you can see your four knockouts on the left-hand side of the screen. And as you click up and down, you can see, you can choose your different knockout level. Okay, so that was the final thing that I wanted to show on functionality. So very quickly, let's go over what RSI is. RSI is going to be your relative strength index, and I don't know, I think it's just called RSI in here. But if you do want to learn more, because I'm just going to give you a very quick primer into what RSI is. But you can always hover over here or to find out what a little bit more about RSI. So if I go and I actually overlay it, so RSI is going to be one of those indicators that's overlaid underneath the chart itself. This is actually a really good RSI kind of time to see because usually we'll only have RSI kind of poke above these levels. So what it basically does is it gives you a 70 or 30 sort of range. And anything above 70 is going to be overbought. Anything below 30 is going to be considered oversold. So basically, when you're seeing an overbought signal, generally, and obviously with indicators, it's not always like this, but generally that's going to be saying that the RSI indicator is saying that the market is overbought and that it is expecting a turn to the downside. If we had RSI under here, and you can see on the chart, right, it's going along, and then when it actually goes above that 70 or goes below that 30 range, you can see it turns red. If it goes under 30, so if the market had been kind of in a downtrend and the RSI, the relative strength index, is showing a RSI of below 30, that's going to be an oversold indicator, which means it might be an indicator that the market is going to reverse and go back in an upward direction. Again, with any indicators, this is never an exact science, but this is generally what RSI is telling you. It lets you know these overbought or oversold ranges. The 70 and 30 ranges of the relative strength is going to be the default. You can always change this. So let's say, I want to be really sure this market's overbought or really sure it's oversold. You can go in here and say, okay, I have my 80-20 periods now. And now look, even with the 80-20 periods, we're still over the 80 range for the relative strength index, which really tells us that this market is very overbought right now. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go back down. It's just an indicator that it may. So it may be an indicator if you do want to trail off RSI. This would be a signal that RSI is telling you, to maybe take the downward position. So that was a very quick primer on RSI, and I know we didn't do too much because we are getting right to the end here. So I know we didn't do a ton of stuff on the actual technical analysis itself. These webinars generally are for more about how to actually use the functionality of the charting package. I will go back and if you have any questions, definitely throw them in the chat. I can see them over here, so I will answer them here at the end, and I'll go back and just throw this up at the very end as well. So yeah, if you do have any questions, definitely throw them in. There we go. And so I do always like to throw these up at the end here, and our social media team and our marketing team definitely like to throw these up at the end of the webinars. So if you do need help, if you're seeing anything that doesn't make sense, you can always contact us either through customer service at nadex.com, or you can go on our website and use the live chat functionality. That live chat functionality is going to probably be the quickest way to talk to someone here at Nadex. But you know, if you have kind of a longer form question, maybe emailing customer service is going to be a little bit better. If you are enjoying trading here or this webinar or anything about Nadex, let us know. You can go to Trustpilot. It does help us out a lot to get good reviews on Trustpilot. You know, if you don't like what's happening here, you can leave that too. I like to be, you know, very honest if people are liking or not liking. It helps us improve. So definitely leave us your feedback. And if you're in the platform, you can leave us your feedback there, and I will see all of that as well. And go follow all our socials. They're all there, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. This webinar is being recorded, and it will be put up on our Nadex channel on YouTube shortly, within it's usually a couple hours afterwards. So I'm not seeing any other questions come in. If you do have any final questions, throw them in the chat right now. I will answer them. I'll give another second here with the screen up and for any further questions coming in. But if you don't have any questions, and I will give it another second for any further ones to come in, but I'm not seeing any more coming in yet. If you don't have any questions, this will conclude the webinar here. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out with me for the last 50 minutes while I rambled on about our charts. I really do like our charting functionality. We are always trying to make it better. So again, leave us feedback if there's something that you want, if there's an indicator that you want maybe on the charts, or you know, if there's any kind of charting functionality or general platform functionality, leave us the feedback in the feedback section of the platform. It helps us out a lot. All right, yeah, no problem, you're welcome. All right, so that's gonna be the end here. Thank you all for coming and hanging out, and have a great rest of your day, and have a great, you know, great luck in your trading, luck or skill. But thanks everyone, have a good one.